Every international Mobile Legends tournament has that one team. Not necessarily the tournament favorite, not always the team with the bigger trophy cabinet, but the team every coach, analyst, and player quietly hopes ends up in the opposite side of the bracket. They're the squad capable of ruining championship dreams with one brilliant draft, one unexpected strategy, or one incredible series. Heading into MSC 2026, there is once again a team that nobody can afford to underestimate, and facing them might be the worst possible draw in the tournament. Welcome back to Mobile Legends News. MSC 2026 features one of the deepest international lineups we've ever seen. Regional champions from around the world have spent months refining their strategies, adapting to the latest patches, and preparing for the biggest mid-season event in Mobile Legends. That level of competition means there are very few easy matches, but history has shown that the most dangerous team isn't always the number one seed or the consensus favorite. Sometimes it's the squad that can completely change the pace of the series, adapt faster than anyone else, and eliminate even the strongest contenders on the right day. In this video, we'll break down which team best fits the description at MSC 2026, and why every championship hopeful should be hoping they don't have to face them when the stakes are at their highest. So, what actually makes a team the team nobody wants to face? Surprisingly, it isn't always the team with the flashiest mechanics or the players who top the highlight reels. At the international level, almost every qualified roster has elite mechanical skill. The difference usually comes down to preparation, adaptability, and how difficult a team is to read over the course of an entire series. The first quality is unpredictable drafting. International tournaments are unique because teams spend weeks studying each other's tendencies before they even meet on stage. Coaches analyze hundreds of games looking for comfort picks, priority bans, lane matchups, and objective preferences. The problem is that the strongest teams don't always follow those patterns. Instead of relying on a fixed draft formula, they constantly change priorities depending on the opponent. One match they might prioritize an early game snowball composition, the next they draft scaling heroes and force a slower macro game. Against another opponent, they may even pull out pocket picks that haven't appeared throughout the tournament. When opponents can't confidently predict the first few picks or bans, every draft becomes significantly harder. The second characteristic is an incredibly deep hero pool. A shallow hero pool creates obvious weaknesses because banning one or two signature heroes can completely disrupt a team's strategy. Teams with flexible hero pools don't have that problem. If one comfort pick disappears, another equally dangerous option takes its place. This flexibility also becomes more valuable as the tournament progresses and the meta evolves. Every MSC develops its own mini-meta as teams discover stronger combinations throughout the event. The squads that can immediately expand their draft options gain an enormous advantage over teams locked into one specific style. Another factor is role flexibility. Modern Mobile Legends rewards players who can comfortably switch responsibilities depending on the draft. Gold laners may pilot utility heroes when necessary. XP laners can become primary initiators or secondary damage dealers depending on team composition. Junglers aren't restricted to assassins anymore. They may rotate between utility, tank, fighter, and carry options depending on what the team needs. That flexibility forces opponents to prepare for multiple versions of the same roster instead of just one. It also makes drafting far more complicated because a seemingly obvious pick can suddenly be assigned to a completely different role. Then there's macro play, which often decides international series even when mechanics are evenly matched. Macro isn't as flashy as outplays or savage moments, but it's what consistently wins championships. Good macro means understanding wave management, objective trading, vision control, jungle timing, map pressure, and knowing exactly when to fight or when not to fight. The best macro teams rarely look rushed. Even when they're behind in gold, they often create favorable trades elsewhere on the map, slowly pulling themselves back in the game without taking unnecessary risks. But for me, Perhaps the most underrated trait of all is adaptation during a series. Winning Game 1 is important, but international championships are usually decided by who improves faster across multiple games. Great coaching staffs constantly identify draft patterns, lane adjustments, and rotation timings between games. A team that loses the opening map but immediately changes its approach can completely reverse the momentum of a best of 5 or best of 7. That ability to learn faster than your opponent is incredibly difficult to prepare against because every game creates new information. When discussing the scariest teams of MSC 2026, it's impossible not to start with Team Liquid PH. The defending MSC champions enter the tournament with perhaps the strongest combination of experience and consistency in the entire field. They also arrive after making history by securing the first ever MPL Philippines Season 17 3-peat, reinforcing their position as the benchmark of Philippine Mobile Legends heading into Paris. What makes Team Liquid PH so dangerous isn't simply that they win, it's how they win. Throughout domestic competition, they've consistently shown the ability to play fast when the opportunity presents itself. Yet, they're equally comfortable slowing games down and relying on disciplined macro. Their drafting rarely feels one-dimensional, and they have repeatedly demonstrated that they can adjust to new patches faster than most competitors. When one strategy stops working, another immediately appears. That's an incredibly frustrating team to prepare for, because eliminating one strength rarely removes the threat entirely. Just as importantly, Team Liquid PH understands the pressure of international events. Championship experience changes the way teams approach elimination matches. Veteran rosters know how to recover after losing games, manage momentum swings, and remain composed during tense late-game situations. Those qualities don't always show up in statistics, but they often determine who survives the final stages of a tournament. Of course, Indonesia's representative deserves to be in this conversation as well. Regardless of which organization emerges from one of the world's toughest domestic leagues, Indonesian champions have traditionally been known for their explosive tempo and willingness to force action. Rather than waiting for mistakes, they frequently create chaos through relentless skirmishes, aggressive invasions, and high-pressure team fighting. That style can overwhelm opponents before structured macro ever has the chance to develop. The challenge when facing an Indonesian team is that every small mistake can snowball into multiple objectives. A single lost turtle fight can quickly become a tower, jungle control, or complete map dominance. Even disciplined teams can find themselves dragged into faster games than they originally planned. Preparing for that level of aggression requires exceptional communication, because hesitation is often punished immediately. Then there are the rising representatives from China and East Asia, arguably the biggest wildcards entering MSC 2026. Moonton's continued expansion of the MLB Championship Tour in East Asia has introduced more international competition for teams from China, Japan, South Korea, and Mongolia, while also providing a direct pathway to MSC. These teams may not carry the same international pedigree as the Philippines or Indonesia, but unfamiliarity is a weapon in itself. Opponents simply have less experience playing against their drafting tendencies, rotation patterns, and hero priorities. Even if their mechanics are comparable, the lack of historical data makes preparation significantly more difficult. Coaches can't rely on years of previous international matches because many of these rosters are still building their global reputations. That unpredictability creates uncomfortable situations for tournament favorites. Do you spend valuable scrim time preparing for strategies you've barely seen? Do you ban heroes that dominate regional play but haven't appeared internationally? Or do you trust your own system and risk being surprised on stage? Those are difficult questions with no perfect answers. When comparing these contenders, each presents a different kind of challenge. Team Liquid PH suffocates opponents through experience, disciplined fundamentals, and unmatched adaptability. Indonesia representatives threatens to overwhelm teams with relentless aggression and explosive team fighting. Meanwhile, China and East Asia's rising squads introduce uncertainty, bringing fresh approaches that established powers may not have fully understand yet. And that's exactly why there isn't one universally feared style at MSC 2026. The team nobody wants to face isn't necessarily the strongest on paper, it's the team capable of forcing every opponent out of their comfort zone. Whether it's through elite macro, unpredictable drafts, explosive tempo, or unfamiliar strategies. These are the teams that can turn a favorable bracket into a nightmare overnight. At a tournament where the margins between victory and eliminations are incredibly small, being difficult to prepare for may be the greatest advantage of all. MSC 2026 doesn't have just one overwhelming favorite, and that's exactly what makes the tournament so exciting. Several teams have a legitimate claim to being the opponent nobody wants to face. Some bring championship experience that shine under pressure, others consistently outdraft their opponents, while a few thrive because they adapt faster than anyone else during a series. In International Mobile Legends, the most dangerous team isn't always the highest seed. It's the one capable of defeating anyone on any given day, regardless of expectations or the matchup in front of them. That's the kind of team that can completely reshape the tournament bracket and turn a championship run into an early exit for even the biggest contenders. Now I want to hear from you. Which team do you think every opponent is secretly hoping to avoid at MSC 2026? Is it a proven powerhouse like Team Liquid PH, Indonesia's representative, or an emerging contender from another region? Let us know your pick in the comments and explain what makes them the tournament's most dangerous team. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to Mobile Legends News, and turn on notifications for more MSC 2026 coverage. Till next time.